A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web-screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, as they'll say, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
Well, okay. Hello. Welcome.
Here we are. New Year.
Happy New Year.
We did it. That's
We
beautiful.
did it. Cheers, everyone.
We made it. We're still alive.
Yeah, I'm keeping the New Year spirit alive just by carrying on drinking. It's been great.
Yeah, that certainly carries it on for me. I've been drinking the past week.
Yeah.
Every night.
It's how you
It's
do
beautiful.
it. You know, welcome to my world, MauLer. I'm glad I finally won you over.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know how much longer I'll be alive for, but I'll die happy.
I ask myself that question every day, and somehow I wake up and I'm still here. So what can I say? Just keep going with it, roll with it. Just
Wake up and you're like, all right then.
yeah, guess I'm still alive then.
Still here.
Fine.
May as well crack one open.
Yeah. But, welcome everybody to the first open bar of 2025. We took a week off because the other one was going to fall on the 26th, which is Boxing Day. And I don't think any of us were really up for doing it then. We wanted to spend a little bit of time with friends and family. So we decided not to burden you guys with that. But here we are. We're back, batteries recharged, and we're ready to go. So this is it. Welcome to the first.
Yeah. And we got some
first
new
one of the year.
stories. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we don't do in our intros anymore. That should be acknowledged, right?
Well, there's one more we can do, actually, for 2024.
I guess
The
so.
year that was.
Yeah,
This will be an
that's
easy
true.
one, actually. Can you remember 2024?
That
It's
was
a
the
while
one-
ago.
Was that the one with the joke? The good one, right?
Jokey guy. Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, I mean,
Right, go ahead.
it was a real mixed bag of a year, right? Because on the one hand, I was really surprised by this, actually. The biggest movie of the year was Inside Out 2. That made almost $1.7 billion. I mean,
That was the biggest
wow.
movie?
Yes.
Shit,
Biggest
okay.
worldwide gross. 1.7 billion. Just shy of it. I mean, yeah.
Did you see it after?
No, and no one talked about it,
didn't
weirdly.
see it
It's just, I'm told it made that much, and I guess I have to believe it, but yeah, I've got nothing else to go on from that, and no one was really making a fuss about it, but yeah, that was the biggest movie of the year.
Yeah.
But we also got Deadpool and Wolverine, 1.3 billion, so kind of a distant second place. I know you love that movie, MauLer. Don't try and hide it.
Yeah. Let's get a sequel, guys. Wolverine for
Despicable
100
Me.
years.
Yeah. Despicable Me 4. I can't, man. With those Despicable Me movies, they all blend into one just massive brand product.
I should be thankful you've never said, hey, but why don't you just see Despicable Me 4 for the next open? Just be like, why?
I'm not going to inflict that on anyone. I know what it would be. And I've got no interest. So, but yeah, Moana 2 as well. It's all animated movies, man. It's crazy. Yeah, Moana 2 with $900 million came in at fourth. So it's a hell of a year for animated movies. But we also got Dune Part 2. Wicked, interestingly, did not do as well as I expected because it opened strong from what I recall. It had a really good opening weekend. But it's kind of finished up at about 640 million, which is not huge for what was spent on it.
That's total 640. I actually did expect it to get a bit higher than that.
I mean, it's probably still playing in a few cinemas, so I'd expect it to go up just a little bit more, but you're not going to get much more out of that one. Yeah, I thought that movie would have got closer to $1 billion, considering how strong it opened, but fell off pretty hard.
All right.
Yeah, we got possibly the dumbest movie of all time, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. That was a film that got made last year. Yep. We got Venom: The Last Dance. Can't remember a single thing about it. It was a movie.
I haven't seen it, and I feel like I know as much about it as most people who have.
Yeah,
I mean, one of those films.
It's in and out. It's like a bout of chronic diarrhea after an all-you-can-eat buffet or something. It's like you consume food, you shat it all out, and then that's it. You move on with your life. That's all I can say. We got Gladiator 2. Boo!
Hmm.
You suck. Alien Romulus. I know another one that you're a big fan of, MauLer.
You were a fan of it too. Let's be honest.
Oh, I loved it so much. I just couldn't get enough.
So good.
Watch
I
it on
think what
repeat.
was missing was more quotes from the other movies. If we could just get a few more in, because I couldn't even
Yeah.
tell what franchise I was watching.
And make them really like self-conscious and awkward as well. Like that's the best way to do it.
Yes, you've got it. Romulus 2 on the way.
Mufasa. That's at 342 million at the moment. Like just opened actually, so it's still got, I guess, a few more weeks left in it. But yeah, that was a film.
Everyone shared that one cringe clip from it on Twitter. Have you seen it? It's like the middle of a song where the lip syncing is horrendous.
Ugh. No, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's that movie is a part of a genre where I'm just like, stop appearing in my life.
Stop existing. God. Yeah, we also got Joker 2. That was, yep.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, just over 200 million that made. Compared to the original, what was the original, like over $1 billion that made on a budget that was like £5.50?
Yeah.
Absurd.
It was what a story, right? Those two, you know?
Yeah.
The beginning and the end.
They really are. I mean, yeah, there's not much more you can say there. But it was also kind of the year of, how can I put it? Just like disappointing movies. You know, not terrible, but just like, meh. Like The Fall Guy. Widely expected to be the big, you know, the movie that was going to open the summer blockbuster season. You know, likable stars, pretty like easy going comedy action plot. Only did 181 million, completely flopped. Furiosa, similar deal, not terrible movie.
Yeah.
You know, Anya Taylor-Joy, you know, it could have had potential, but 173 million, again, complete flop, disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Civil War.
Ugh.
Yeah, this is a bit shit, but
that's
like,
one where I'm like, you sure that was that year? It's like,
yeah, Civil War, yeah. There's a lot of movies that just came and went and just got completely forgotten about. But yeah, again, had a good director behind it. Not a bad cast either. Should have had real potential, but yeah, just never took off. But it also gave us Madam Web, the glorious
my favorite.
joy that was.
That's actually one where I hug that one. I'm like, yes, I might buy the 4K of it someday.
I think we should. we all should
watch it drunk or something. Oh, don't forget Rebel Moon 2. Remember that?
Oh God, was that even a thing?
Yeah, and you get the special editions as well.
Yeah, the super ultra mega depressing bleak edition.
16-hour long versions.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Which is just entirely slow motion.
Oh,
I want to see the corn cut where it's just like people like just harvesting grain.
Drinker, I think we did see the corn cut.
But then you've got down to the sludge now, where we've got Argyle, absolute trash. Kraven the Hunter, Borderlands, The Crow, like all of those movies, just absolute garbage. Not even much I can say about them.
Because this is the thing, I think a lot of people will be like, every year has bad movies, and every year has an average that sort of works out similarly. And there's lots of films we didn't see that were really good, blah, blah, blah. But I think broadly we can all agree, right? Like that was a low score compared to usual for mainstream films. Like holy shit,
it was a tough year, and I think a lot of it was
Wallace and Gromit came out right at the end. Did you see? It's like one of the best performing films in Britain for 25 years.
I haven't seen it yet. No,
you got to go watch it. It's such a wholesome and happy little movie.
The Wallace and Gromit films, they usually don't go too far wrong, do they?
No, it's perfect for the family, and it's got some heart in there, and it's got a nice message too. I think that you'll appreciate. So get on there. I'm not even kidding. It might be my favorite of the year. I'm not sure yet.
Well, I mean that's not bad then. In that case,
we're gonna have that conversation. We probably should, right? I can't remember what your pick would be if you had one.
I think because I guess we should wait until everyone else gets in, but I won't, so I'll just say it. I think maybe my favorite of the year was One Life. That came out right at the beginning. Like I think it was like the beginning of January, so like a really early one. But yeah, wow, that movie impressed me. It just got me right in the feels.
You might have just convinced me with that. Cause for some reason, I always remember it late. I think it's because I don't associate it with this year, or rather the last year, even though I should. because that probably outclasses the Wild Robot, and then Wallace and Gromit's great, but One Life was stellar and tight. I wouldn't have thought it would be my favorite, but yeah, that's the way the year goes, I suppose.
Once you put Anthony Hopkins into the mix, then you're pretty much done.
I think did Gary choose Nosferatu for his favorite film of the year? I think so.
I'm not sure yet.
I know Az said Deadpool, Wolverine, and it'll be interesting to hear what our guests have to say.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that and their predictions for the year ahead as well. I also had to give a dishonorable mention to Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. It came in 114th place with $18 million at the box office.
Place. Oh man, they couldn't even crack the top 100
with a Lord of the Rings property. I mean, that is pretty dire. Anyway,
yeah.
So anyway, we should bring in our guests so we can talk more about this stuff.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Welcome everyone aboard for Film Comics Explained, better known as NIATS. Welcome, sir. Great to have you here.
Hello, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. And we also got Metal Commander joining us since he's
Hello.
on a little holiday over here. They let you out of Germany for a little bit.
Yeah, I had to fight my way out through Poland, but I made it.
I'm told that's the best way.
That's the best route, yeah.
I don't know. France will surrender pretty quickly, so you can probably go that way too.
They saw me approach. It's like, yeah, just move right through. We know you're here already.
We've also got theoretically Razorfist joining us as well. We're just waiting to hear back from him. It's like, I spoke to him a couple of days ago. Hey, you want to come in and talk about Nosferatu? He's like, yeah, it sounds fucking awesome.
We need like a little cardboard cutout until he arrives of him.
Yeah. And then I didn't hear anything more from him. So is he alive? Maybe. We'll find out.
Maybe.
But, we'll soldier on in the face of adversity until he gets here. But yeah, welcome aboard, gentlemen. And thank you for joining us for the first open bar of 2025.
Always good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I think before we get into Nosferatu, which is one of the big ones for the evening, I wanted a bit of light entertainment first of all. See, some people here have watched a bit of Star Trek in their time, and those who have probably despaired at the way the franchise has gone, and particularly with shows like Star Trek Discovery. Pretty tough to watch, especially after season 1. It just became absolute garbage. But the rumor is that it's now been decanonized and it's no longer part of the official Star Trek timeline. And I guess the best way I can explain this is through the most strange set of circumstances. I think it ultimately has come about from Star Trek Lower Decks, which has also just finished up. It had its series finale. And one of the ways that it's decanonized this show is that it showed alternate realities. It's described here in Giant Freaking Robot. It says, in the show's finale, a group of Klingon ships encounters a phenomenon that transforms things into alternate versions of themselves. So they get to see what they would look like in a different reality, a different timeline. And when a Klingon ship hits one of those transformation rays, it transforms into the big, ugly Discovery-style Klingon ship. Basically, completely different from what you used to get in Star Trek. Completely different design because of that crazy licensing deal that they had where everything had to be 25% different so that Paramount and CBS could divide up the spoils of merchandising. It's this weird setup that they have with all their licensing deals. Anyway, this has been interpreted as meaning that Discovery is no longer canon, which is kind of an interesting prospect because it seems to be wildly hated by most fans of Star Trek, and I think most people would be quite happy to see it go.
It's a weird experience, right? To have something that you don't even like, try to officially decanonize something you don't even like. You're like,
Yeah, because I mean, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say most people don't really give a shit about Star Trek Lower Decks, and it doesn't really matter in the great scheme of things. But the fact that it's an official, because Paramount themselves have said this, right? Lower Decks is considered canon. Like what happens in it is not just like a joke; it's considered part of the canon of the Star Trek universe. And so if it decides that something else is no longer canon, then technically that is valid. That means it's gone.
Because I'm seeing a lot of people say that it's not even that it hasn't even been treated that way necessarily, or at least the creators aren't saying that that's what it means and that's what it. But I was thinking about how Dark Fate decanonizing 3, 4, and 5 of Terminator films, like that never really helped anything. It was never like thank goodness. It was more of a just we never thought they were that canon anyway.
Yeah, and I think in the minds of fans, I'm going to again suggest that most people don't even consider any of this stuff post Star Trek Enterprise to be canon anyway, in any shape or form. It's just shitty fan fiction made by companies that don't really care about the property anymore.
So I think an analogy I made on one of these shows, but I was like, when a franchise is really strong, take like a Lord of the Rings, when you have The Hobbit getting made, it's like someone putting there's like a big Lego tower and someone starts putting pieces on the wrong place or the wrong color, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah,
you look at it and you're like, stop, and you want to try and get those little pieces off. But Star Trek sounds like Star Wars and Doctor Who and everything else, where they made a little thing on it, and then they built an enormous thing on that tiny thing that came off the original tower, and it broke off, and it's just like, I don't even associate you with the original work anymore, like not even remotely. So it's the idea that they're like, oh, we got this new season that's connected to this. It's going to be the continuation of this character from this. Then you're just like, it's not even, go away. Like, I don't care. It's like all this new Doctor Who stuff. I keep having to get updated about it. Disparu was explaining the new episode, and I was just like, man, I used to remember doing this with other people, saying the broad statements of a plot line of an episode, and people just being like, what? I'm back on that end of it now, where he says like some lady eats a star. I'm just like,
just it's like, oh yeah, okay. Just before we carry on, actually,
it's so funny. I'm so disconnected from Doctor Who when I hear things like this. Like, yeah, okay, I guess that's what happens in that show.
Just before we go on, I'm going to bring Razorfist in as well because he's now joining us. So
hey,
yes,
everyone.
you're alive. Yes.
Hello. Hey.
Godspeed, everyone. Yeah, sorry, I would have been here sooner, but I got stuck in Arizona traffic, which resembles California traffic more by the hour.
Oh, so, good God, that sounds bad.
Good times, but
I'm
glad to be here. It's been too long.
Happy New Year to you, man. Good to have you back on for this.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Hope you're celebrating the Terrorism Day festivities in style.
Oh, yeah. There's always a new terrorist attack.
Oh, yeah.
There's always something.
I always wondered what made you tick. Turned out it's a bomb fest. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's misery and death and stuff. That's what Brits thrive on, really.
Excellent.
But yeah, we were just talking there about Star Trek Discovery kind of getting decanonized.
Yes.
And the overall take being like, who gives a fuck anyway? Because anything that's happened in Star Trek from about 2005 onwards doesn't really matter anyway.
It really is if a show gets canceled in the forest and no one's around to see it. It really is that theorem in practice, because I know absolutely no one who habitually watched new Star Trek, except a few people who jumped on Picard in season 3 for 15 minutes and then peaced out immediately after. That's the only thing I know that people actually watched. And they were always doing these gimmicky things to try and draw in viewers. Like, did you see just recently Lower Decks doing Julian Bashir and Garrick they're gay in love. They're going to tongue kiss on the show.
Yeah.
It's just obviously the death throes of a franchise.
The way that was phrased as well, like, because the news articles reporting on this were like, oh, this show finally gives fans the romance that they always wanted. Like, who the fuck ever wanted that? Who was asking for that?
Right? Oh, it keeps me awake long, sweaty nights, I assure you.
Yeah. Fuel for 1,000 lonely nights. But yeah, I think that's an interesting point that MauLer kind of brought up there, though, just as we were going into this. The fact that all these Star Trek shows exist now, like Lower Decks, Prodigy, Discovery, Strange New Worlds, no one watches them. If I wasn't obliged to try and keep track of this stuff as part of my job, I wouldn't even know this stuff existed. And I think most people are like that as well. It's just, it's remarkable how Star Trek has gone from something that, at least within geek culture, was a massive cultural phenomenon. It defines so much of that culture and the wider culture, like our desire to explore our ethos when it comes to colonizing the galaxy. All of that, it's gone from all that to an irrelevant bunch of shows on a streaming service that no one watches. It's done the Star Wars thing.
Yeah, through
it's
the
amazing.
IP into the slot machine. Put a little
Really?
slot machine. Yeah.
Isn't it wild that like the big debate when we were all growing up was Star Trek or Star Wars? Like pick your country, South or North.
Yeah.
And and today it's like, like, do either of those even exist? I think most Zoomers don't even bother watching those.
Oh, dude, most of them you'd have to throw up like a flashcard and be like, "So is this Star Wars or Star Trek?" And they'd be like,
right, like a bad media Rorschach.
Yeah. Well, I think the only debate amongst the fan base now is like, well, which one's been ruined more?
Yeah.
Is it Star Wars or Star Trek?
Yes. You know what?
That's an interesting conversation.
And that is actually, we could do like 5 hours on that, for crying out loud.
Well, the new Star Trek shows are so far removed from Gene Roddenberry's themes, vision, writing, and tone that I never actually considered them canon. So hearing that they've now been decanonized is sort of meaningless, because that's how I and most people that enjoy the original Star Trek shows felt to begin with. And I hear that it's been decanonized. It's no longer part of the main Star Trek timeline, but as it's still part of the multiverse, doesn't that actually mean that it's still canon, though?
I mean,
it depends, I guess, how much importance you want to attach to that. Like, in theory, like anything could exist anywhere. Like in some alternate reality, like fucking Captain Kirk is a chimp, and like, you know, Bones is just a dancing robot, and like there could be any potential number of realities there, and you don't really have to care about them. But like, it's just a way of getting around that. The one true storyline that we actually care about, which is the one that spawned from Star Trek, the original series. That's the only one that people care about, and it's the only one that they will ever care about. But the reason I talked about it as well is because something has changed within the corporate structure of all these studios that own the rights, because the reason that you had these separate kind of timelines, the Kelvin timeline and the original timeline, was because you had one studio, CBS, and you had another studio, Paramount, that owned the different respective versions of Star Trek. They have both now been bought over by Skydance, which now owns all of essentially the Star Trek IP. And it's interesting that they should buy over these studios, and then you get this tacit acknowledgement that, yes, Star Trek Discovery was a bit shit, man. Let's just decanonize that. And it makes me wonder, like, okay, where else will they go with this? Because if they do want to make money out of this, if they want to make money out of that sweet, sweet merchandise, which is where most of the money comes from nowadays, you've got to get something that sells, and it isn't new Trek. Nobody's buying any of the action figures, the models of the ships, any of that stuff. It's all the original series, if that's got any value at all. And so, I don't know, if they've got any sense, they'll find a way to get back to the original.
Yeah, I think most people at this point can acknowledge, like, even with Star Wars, man, you got to give it a good long rest before anyone will even care about another attempt to breathe life into this. Like, you've done such damage. I mean, we're literally in a world where a new Indiana Jones movie and a new Indiana Jones game doesn't even matter. It flops. I didn't even think I would ever live in that world. But, you know, you have one movie with Shia LaBeouf. You have a follow-up with Indiana Jones and the Hip of Titanium. You've got you're going to have problems with your franchise going forward. And Star Wars, Star Trek, they're all in the exact same boat. It's just wild. It's like it's a controlled demolition. It's not just a series of missteps. These were deliberate attempts to take these franchises down, right? It can't be any other thing. There has to be intelligent design here. It's not just franchise Darwinism, right?
Well, what's the maxim about, like, never attribute to malice what you can pin on like stupidity, essentially?
Yeah, Occam's Razorfist. Yes.
I think that's kind of where we're at with this stuff, where I think what they wanted to do was to demolished the original versions of these franchises. So with Star Wars, for example, like, okay, kill the mystique of the original characters so everyone will embrace Rey and Finn and Poe Dameron and all that crap. Same with Star Trek. Like, okay, let's get rid of Kirk and Spock and McCoy and like Picard and all that stuff. Picard's a doddery old man. Kirk's irrelevant now. And everyone's going to love our new versions of it.
Yeah.
They don't, because like the new versions that you're trying to foist onto people suck. Like they're badly written. They're unlikable. They're shit characters, usually played by shit actors as well.
Oh, yes.
And
it's wild
so...
because they already had a model for this, right? They already kind of did this with Star Trek, because when Generations, they killed off Kirk, and it was obvious, like the symbolism there is called Generations. We're transitioning into the other crew. The difference is you followed that movie up with Star Trek First Contact, right? There has not been a Star Trek First Contact in a very, very... There hasn't been a Star Trek First Contact since Star Trek First Contact. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So you have to actually follow it up with something people actually want to watch. And I'm not convinced anyone who works around Star Trek even understands what made that series tick at all.
I think as well, like when it came to things like killing off Kirk in favor of Picard and like phasing out the original crew, I don't feel like it was done with malice. It was just practicality that was the problem. It was kind of like the reason why they had to do the regenerations with the Doctors. It's like, okay, the actor gets too old. They get too expensive, and eventually you have to kind of move on to a new group of people and do something slightly fresher. It wasn't like, we want to undermine the very foundations of what this was and destroy their legacy like you got with, The Last Jedi, for example, in Star Wars terms. It was just, we need to move on to the next crop of actors. That was something slightly different. Yeah. But, yeah, man, it's just... When you see now what they've done with all these different franchises, they've either tried to keep them going on life support, like with Indiana Jones, where like you're just wheeling out an increasingly decrepit Harrison Ford.
I only watch Indiana Jones movies now to find out what near mortal injury he suffered while shooting it. You know what I mean?
Or you get the completely opposite approach, which is like, we need to completely destroy the history of everything that came before so we can supplant it with our new version, which is just that's Star Wars in a nutshell now. But like either way, it fails, and it's not generating any good new ideas. That's your problem fundamentally, and they can't get around it. They've never found a way around it.
I think the fall of these franchises can be, like you, more attributed to hubris than actual malice, because their aim is to use the goodwill of the fandom to tell a new story, but they're poor storytellers. And so it often comes at the expense of the original characters, the history that came before it. They don't seem to understand what made these franchises great, which is why they keep failing.
Yeah. Kennedy was... Yeah, that's true. Kennedy was Spielberg's coffee wench on Raiders. I do like the new Indiana Jones movies. They allow me to multitask. I can watch Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park at the very same time. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Are you excited for the new Jurassic World movie? Well, it's got Scarlett Johansson in it.
Still making those?
Yeah.
They make shit tons of money. They're definitely making more.
I stopped watching those years ago.
I saw, like, I'm sure this must have been faked, but like a leaked screen grab where she transforms into a fucking dinosaur.
Apparently
her skin just goes scaly and stuff. I was like, this got to be fake. I hope it's real.
The entire internet believed it though, because of how ridiculous modern Hollywood is.
They've been wanting to do hybrids, like the studio and these stories for a long time. So when I saw it, I was like, that could be real. But I hope not, but there we are.
I just want to see dinosaurs in space. Like, go all the way. Why not? You might as well. You've done everything else at this point.
Right.
Well, so long as these movies keep making $1 billion, it is going to happen, Trinko.
Estimated budget,
it will,
165 million, and then makes $1 billion. It's like, that's an easy, just make another one until they stop making that kind of money. Which is, I don't know, maybe an indictment on the audience a little bit. But I just think that maybe it's because they've got the market on dinosaur content, because there's not really much mainstream dinosaur shit. So
who else is making dinosaur movies? That's all there is to it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
More, I like how your avatar's gone from Christmas to Halloween. Like, are you
I
just
realized-
progressing backwards through the year?
Since we're talking
gonna
about
get a summer
Nosferatu,
Mauler.
you know, I gotta
Yeah.
suit to
That's fair, yeah. Like
Topical.
that's probably a good time to segue into it. Actually,
Oh, look at
Oh,
you.
nice.
fucking
Nice.
slick, Mauler. Yeah, Nosferatu came out on Christmas Day of all days. Like, that's an interesting time to
Aw.
release a movie because really, who wants to go and see a film on Christmas Day? But whatever.
It's really about family.
I mean,
In
It's
some
definitely
ways,
about-
I guess. Yeah.
it's about people coming together. Put it that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, we've all seen it here. Like, what were your guys' thoughts on it?
I liked it. I'll
Yeah.
like no one else say anything.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it a whole bunch. Thought it was excellently made and quite refreshing in terms of a filmmaker that it's surprising I can go to a cinema and watch something like that these days. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh shit, it's not dead. Not entirely.
You can still go to the cinema and enjoy something. It's
It
amazing.
requires a
I mean, it-
fucking...
it was definitely Robert Eggers' most conventional movie in terms of narrative and stuff.
I felt
compared
that,
to,
yeah.
like,
I mean,
what
it
else
follows
you-
it followed the
Yeah.
Nosferatu story with one or
Yes.
two, with the exception of one or two twists. It followed it completely faithfully, which is
Yeah.
one
I
of
think-
the funniest things about it is you hear criticisms of the plot and it drags near the end. It's like Nosferatu always did that. You know,
It's,
you get to the city and the movie drags more. Both of the previous Nosferatu movies did. It just is. That's what the story is. Sorry, once you get to the town, it's like after you get out of Orlok's castle, it's not as interesting. Just nature of the beast.
It's such an interesting beast to like pick apart though, because it's like what you had with Nosferatu is essentially a knockoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula. All the characters are just name swapped versions of their
literally for
Dracula
copyright reasons, right?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
literally all it
exactly.
was, yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't call it like Count Alucard or something,
Right.
Count Orlok.
Great.
But anyway,
It is. It's great value Dracula, basically.
yeah, but you know, but it's a faithful recreation of that original Nosferatu movie, and like to the point of like so many of the shots are recreated. So it's like a modern filmmaker's take on a classic piece of gothic horror. With some modern sensibilities in mind, so you can get away with like a bit more in terms of nudity and like much more technically accomplished shots in the sense of like, you know, we're not constrained by the limitation of 1920s technology anymore, but the essence of that original film is still there, and I think that's what's so interesting about it. And it doesn't come across as like a guy just like paying lip service to this style of filmmaking. I got the impression he really had a real love for that film and that style of horror filmmaking.
I think you can actually see it in his adherence to the plot line. Like he clearly was like, I don't want to touch this masterful work that's inspired so much. I don't want to ruin anything for anybody. And holy shit, isn't that refreshing?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Respectful to the source material.
Right. If we were just talking about Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Star Trek, can you imagine if they took the same approach in making? I mean, what's the most successful of the new Star Wars movies? It's The Force Awakens, which is just a remake. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like it's just a remake, and it's not even a good one, but at least it's semi-faithful in terms of the basic plot. So, what's interesting about this remake is, you know, it's basically the second time they've done kind of a faithful remake like this in, you know, an earnest style with exact one-to-one shots recreated from the original. You know, Werner Herzog did the same thing in '79, and both of these, I feel like this is at least as successful artistically as the '79 movie is. Both of those movies, both of those remakes have a weird twist to them, though. And in both cases, I'm not sure they were needed. It's not like they hurt the movie that much, but they're just kind of, okay, I guess we're just doing something different to do something different. I don't know what the main thing, I don't know if you noticed, is Eggers like baking in a whole bunch of backstory into all the characters. That stuff was never in there with Count Orlok's nefarious origin and what's Johnny Depp's kid with the big forehead.
Lily.
Backstory with the thing. So I don't know.
I did like it, and
I
I'm a
can
huge
say
fan
that
of-
as a forehead American myself. Thank you very much.
I was going to say that I did like the film, and I'm a big fan of Robert Eggers. But like you guys have already pointed out, it is probably one of his more conventional films. I think it's like it's a modern reinterpretation of classic Gothic horror films. I thought it was really well acted. Bill Skarsgård, in particular, was outstanding as
it was
Count
really good.
Orlok.
Yeah.
Disappeared,
Awesome.
man, into that
Yeah.
role. I had avoided looking too much at the cast, so I didn't realize he was playing Nosferatu or Orlok, whatever. And after I watched the movie, I checked it out. I'm like, this is it? What? It's him? Seriously?
Yeah.
You
I had to
honestly
check on
wouldn't
IMDb
know.
as well after. I was like, oh, that's him. I had no idea.
Yeah, because I mean, it completely alters his voice under all the prosthetics and stuff. Like, you wouldn't really recognize him.
He
apparently
did that with
trained for 6 months to get that voice that way.
How do we
Really?
feel?
Wow.
How do we feel about the Count Tom Selleck stash?
I feel like any blood-sucking immortal vampire should have a fucking tash.
Yeah.
Next time.
It's so thick and bushy. It's amazing.
I respect it. Yeah.
I was expecting like a Charles Bronson voice to come wafting out.
Well, in the beginning, I thought it was just a shadow. I didn't even expect it
yeah.
to be like a
Wasn't sure.
weird
I-
mustache.
I couldn't
But then-
trust myself at first. I was like, he would have a must, would he?
Yeah, it's like that's
I kind of kept waiting for him to transform into the kind of Nosferatu that you saw in the 20s version. Like when it's fully exaggerated. And it's like, this is just his sort of quasi-human form. And then you're going to see like the real Nosferatu. But you don't. And it's like, this is just the version you get. But it's suitably monstrous. And damn, yeah, a lot of a man's power is derived from his mustache. So I can respect that.
Apparently.
Absolutely.
My goodness. Like the previous Count Orloks had nothing on this guy in terms of power
Oh, yeah.
level, for sure.
Yeah.
the only complaint that I guess I had was that I'm a big fan of the original Bram Stoker's Dracula, and
Yeah.
this is quite derivative of that. And I do prefer the characters in the original because they have a bit more agency in their fight against the vampire, especially towards the final act. But otherwise, I thought it was brilliant.
Plus, original Bram Stoker's Dracula had a cowboy character who goes and hunts down Dracula. So,
Absolutely.
Yo.
oh, this movie could have used a cowboy. I'm just saying.
I mean, the closest we got was Willem Dafoe.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, because you could have played that character just dead serious the whole way through the movie,
No.
but he's kind of quirky and kind of like
Yeah.
interested and a bit weird, and I
Mhm.
like that. I like they gave him just a little dash of humor.
He's
I
and
And he
he,
gives it a
plays
lot
it
of
well.
life. Willem Dafoe's so
Yeah.
reliable.
and he's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
his character's just a quote dispenser in the like every line that's taken from Bram Stoker's Dracula comes out of his mouth, right? All of them, and they're all good lines because that's actually a really good book if you haven't read it. It's fantastic. But
It is.
It's really-
I mean,
it's-
he's a reimagining of Van Helsing, of course, and
Mhm.
Van Helsing is probably the best character in the original.
Is Willem Dafoe just in every Eggers movie?
He's been in 3 of them.
He's not in The
Oh.
Witch.
Yeah, so he's in The Lighthouse, The Northman. and
Northman? Yeah, that's.
this. Yeah, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I've just seen exactly those ones, so never mind.
Yeah, the Witch is like a bit of a special case, I suppose. It's a bit different, but yeah.
Sure,
But
yeah.
Ralph Ineson is in that as well.
Yes.
He is, yeah, and he got way more to do in The Witch, to be fair, than in this. Not to say that he's bad in this, but like in The Witch, he was fucking brilliant. Like that was probably the performance of his career in that movie.
Agreed.
And I think Eggers has said in future he wants Willem Dafoe in like all of his movies if he can get him.
as he should. As he
Treasure
should.
that man, treasure him.
well, it's a great nod here because he already played Nosferatu in Shadow of the Vampire. So that's
Right.
brilliant casting choice on their part.
I was going to say, like, what did you guys think in terms of performances throughout the film? Because I guess the one piece of feedback I would give about Depp, what's her first name? I can't
Lily
remember.
Rose Depp.
Lily Rose.
Lily Rose
Oh,
Depp.
okay.
She takes a while to warm up in this movie. Like, she is pretty good towards the end when she's getting possessed and she's got to do all the crazy, like, flailing around and stuff.
Yeah.
Early on, she's a bit wooden.
Yeah, and you know what? That's more in keeping with the tradition of the previous, depending on the naming conventions, Lucy's, Ellen's, whatever, that have played. Is she doesn't have quite as much agency in the previous version.
I was wondering if that was
Yes.
the purpose of it. Like it lacks presence on purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of
Um,
what I'm wondering, if it's almost like a Ripley from Alien situation where she sort of fades into the background and then slowly comes to the fore as the story goes on, maybe a little bit. Kind of, it works either way.
I think so, yeah, because I was quite impressed by the possession scene, so to speak.
Yeah, really cool.
and
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you guys have seen it, but a lot of people are kind of making fun of her. Some people are online of being like, these scenes out of context are so goofy, and it's just like it's not very nice. Like,
Any
probably
scene
take
out of
any scene-
context, like
yeah,
Yeah, you could take any scene like that out of context.
Yeah.
Like it would be stupid or funny or whatever. But like, I think that's a bit
I do
unfair.
appreciate that she committed to the physicality of those trance scenes when she's being
Yeah.
possessed, and I thought she made some bold choices. The weakest link for me in terms of performances was probably Aaron Taylor Johnson as Friedrich Harding. He felt like a caricature of a man in the 1800s.
like it's all
and-
just purposely foppish.
Yeah, he
I'll
didn't
get
capture the movement and delivery of someone from that era.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was like, I guess the character he's playing is like the stereotypical dependable man. Like he's like a shipping tycoon or something, like very much a gentleman of the time, like sure of himself, and that gradually gets eroded throughout the movie to the point where he's like broken down emotionally. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is a pretty good actor generally, and so I don't think it's necessarily a failing on his part. It might just be, I don't know, like the script doesn't ask him to do that much early on, and then by the later scenes, like, you know, he gets overshadowed by other events that are going on.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I just like that we had a nice character as a counterpart to all the like supernatural stuff that's happening, because obviously they don't believe in that. And like all the way up until the end, he's like, "No, that's bullshit. What are you talking about? Like, my family is currently dying. Get the fuck out of my house. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Right. And the last remake kind of didn't have that. And I don't feel it was stronger for, like, I guess they tried to get that in there with the 70s movie they kind of had the town elders. There are no town elders in this, right? When the plague shows up in the 79 movie, it's like you have the town elders all meeting and whatever, and somebody says plague and they all just book, right? They're all gone and everybody freaks out. And that's kind of your sense of, oh, this weird kind of mystical force is now intruding on the real world. We get that through his character in this movie a little bit, like him and his family and what's her face, Cassandra Nova. They're the ones who portray that. So,
oh, that's who that was. I was wondering. Why I recognized her.
she's not
I
hardly
did-
any lines. I don't blame you for not recognizing her, but yeah.
I always thought expected or reasonable to assume at a certain point in the film that she's been attacked by some mythical, horrifying demon creature. But did they really believe that she fell off the bed and a bunch of rats bit her? Okay, that's really strange.
Very aggressive.
I love that where he's like, no, this can't be about a horrible, mystical, evil thing. My wife simply rolled off the bed and was immediately devoured by rats. It's a perfect.
Yeah, it happens.
Many such cases throughout
Come on,
the
that's what you can
centuries.
tell us. This is Germany, isn't it? Like, you know, but this.
Oh, I have to be careful when I get out of bed in the morning. It's like, oh, those rats. There we go again.
Yeah.
Gotta wear socks for sure.
To be fair,
You stay
half
at a
the town.
Holiday Inn enough times. I don't know.
I was going to say, to be fair, half the town are dying from the plague, and they've all been eaten by rats. And when he finds his wife, she's got like rat bite marks on her and rats on top of her. So I can sort of see why he's reluctant to believe that
No,
it
of
is
course,
anything
that's what I'm saying.
supernatural. Yeah,
It's still just a funny scenario. You know?
it is. It is. Yeah.
How'd you
I-
guys feel the plague element was portrayed compared to the previous versions? Like, it was pretty cool, the scene where they were like walking through in that long tracking shot, and you kind of got to see the effects of Nosferatu's plague on Wismar. I thought that was pretty neat. It wasn't quite as grand as the Werner Herzog version, where there's just rolling fields of rats everywhere, which was just insane. They didn't quite go that crazy, but I thought that was really, really handled effectively.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the Werner Herzog version. I mean, knowing him as a filmmaker, I would imagine he just imported like a million rats to actually star in this and gave them all directions and spent like, months getting the perfect
Like,
shot with them.
where'd you get these rats from? And he's like, they're my rats.
Yeah, erased every one of them.
No, get this. In order, he wanted white rats, so they boiled them. They boiled the rats, and like half of them died because you're boiling rats. And then the ASPCA were showing up, and what is this crap? Like, what?
Who's the real Nosferatu?
Right?
Yeah.
To be fair, who would have expected rats to die if you boil them?
Like, who knew? Right?
Yeah.
Who knew?
I mean, someone had to make that mistake at some point.
Right.
So you know
what I appreciated, especially in the early stages of this movie, is the way it kind of it's got this almost like dreamlike quality where like scenes and transitions just kind of flow like from one moment to the next. So like when Thomas is traveling to Romania and like it's almost like you get this fever dream of him seeing like the locals exhuming a corpse and then killing it, and then he wakes up and he travels to the castle, and then he's like there, the gates open, he goes in, and like he's having the conversation with the count, and like all of it is just like this flow. Like you don't see people moving from place to place, they're just there from one camera change to the next. Like, it's such an interesting way that Eggers shoots this movie, and it's hard to describe, but it's a dreamlike quality that it gives you.
It's opposite.
Absolutely.
It's opposite of both of the previous versions, right? Where you got these long, even in the original silent film, where you got these long tracking shots of him just walking off into the distance, like, and you're just kind of to give the sense of he's going to be isolated, right? He's going out to this crazy castle. No one's going with him. He's totally screwed. He's got to go there on foot. Both of the previous versions did that. This movie's strange in that you get like one shot like that where it's clear that he's not going to get a ride to Count Orlok's castle. And then boom, you pretty much cut to him in the woods. And that incredible scene where the horseless carriage or the driverless carriage comes and picks him up out of the woods. It was incredible.
Yeah.
There's a sense, it's like this brooding atmospheric nightmare when Thomas arrives at the castle, and it's very disorienting for him and for us as the audience. And it's a manifestation of the fact that he keeps passing out because Orlok is feeding on him, and that's why we get the awkward transitions of him waking up on the bed, waking up in a completely different part of the castle, and that doesn't make sense until later on. In the first act, where we realize what is happening to him and why the cuts seem extremely awkward.
That moment where they make it very clear that he's feeding on him is so like blunt.
I do. That would be one. I don't even know if this is a criticism. It's just a difference in approach. If you're watching an OG Nosferatu or the 79 remake or whatever, the scene, or even Dracula, even Bela Lugosi Dracula, you invariably have that iconic scene with "I don't drink wine," right? Like that whole scene where he's feeding him, and because he's basically fattening him up so that he can feed on him, right? That scene is supposed to be kind of, or at least previously has been kind of subtle. Oh, there's something just wrong with this guy. He's a little creepy. He keeps saying things like, "I don't drink wine," and then there's the moment where he cuts his finger, and Dracula or Nosferatu or whoever just loses it. He sees blood and he becomes the beast for a moment and can barely. The version of that in this movie is there's a literal demon backlit by a giant blast furnace. And his voice sounds like Shredder from Ninja Turtles.
Take heed of what you do.
Right? Like, how are you not getting this, dude? There's a literal demon in the corner of the room. Get out. That's the only thing that...
It almost feels like they would go for that with Nicholas Holt's performance as well. It's just like the director and the actor, everyone knew. It's like, we know what this is, don't we? And you're like, okay, I guess.
All right.
Go that direction,
I always took that as just like, this is a homage to that early style of horror movies where like things perhaps were a bit more obvious or they were a bit more overt. And you wouldn't get away with that in a modern horror film. It would be more subtle than that or whatever. But this is a love letter to the original, the sort of 1920s silent movie, and I think in that respect it functions pretty well.
Oh,
and so I can definitely enjoy it for what it was in this respect.
No, it's cool. It's almost I mean, look, the original movie is a masterpiece of German expressionism, right? So there's a lot of expressionism in this movie. A ton. Like, even up to the point, I can't imagine a more kind of abstract expressionist kind of shot than the one where the shadowy hand of Nosferatu is literally stretching across the entire city, rooftop by rooftop.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean, that is pure German expressionism.
Yeah, we
It's
do like to grab things.
He does like to grab things in every version of the movie, by the way.
There's just so many of the shots are so like beautifully old fashioned, like the shots of characters like paddling the canal boat down the river towards the mansion in the distance that they're either gonna burn or they're gonna take someone there. And it's this beautiful composite shot. You could imagine back in the silent film days that would have been done with matte paintings and stuff. And it just, I don't know, it looks great. It harkens back to that much older style of filmmaking. And you wouldn't perhaps get a shot like that as stark and as simple in today's filmmaking world. And like when we were talking about Count Orlok as a character and like as an antagonist, as a monster within this, Eggers has shown that he can do, I guess, much more modern interpretations of mythological monsters with things like The Witch, where that was much more alien. It was much more a thing that you couldn't quite grapple with. It was like a force of nature. Orlok is more of a character with his own personality and his own drives that you come to understand. Yeah. But that's fine because it works in the style that this movie was intended. And I don't know, I appreciate his work as a filmmaker, that he can grapple with the source material appropriately with whatever he's doing. He doesn't try and bend it into something it's not supposed to be.
It's so atypical of horror movies today. It's a pure gothic horror. That's the thing that's coolest about it. Gothic horror. The subtitle to my review of it was "Gothic horror is back," because modern horror is not gothic in style at all. Meaning, like, it's more about the dread. It's more about the build up. It's not about the gore scares. This movie has a little bit more gore than it definitely has more gore than previous versions, right? But it's not just buckets of blood. Thrown on people. It's not like that, right? So it's more about the build up and the psychological aspect. There's clearly like psychosocial aspects and psychosexual aspects to lots of the subtext in some of these scenes and whatnot. So I definitely feel like it's more in a Victorian and gothic, like there's a repressed sense.
Instead of the spooky ghost yelling and running around grabbing people, it's more of a gradual building of helplessness that I really quite enjoy.
That's where these characters and these monsters come from, right? Nosferatu and Universal missed the boat trying to launch that dark universe because they tried to make them all modern horror movies. They didn't get like what made these monsters tick. And while I was watching this movie, all I could think was, what if instead of that Dracula Untold piece, we got something like this, a Dracula movie more like this? They'd still be making dark universe movies to this day.
I can't fucking imagine this movie having the after credit scene of like the equivalent of Nick Fury shows up to Nosferatu. I'm building a
Your
universe.
work isn't done here, Count Orlok. Brings them back to life. This is what I mean though, like, because the original played with that theme of like she has to seduce him in order to keep him busy until the sun comes up, until like it basically destroys both of them. The implied sexuality was obviously there, and it's like she has to use her feminine wiles to ultimately defeat the monster when no one else could. They take it to a much more extreme version here, where it's just like straight up sex scenes. And I think, again, it works to the point where it's not gratuitous. You get what they're going for with this, but it's just, again, they've got the freedom of modern filmmaking to be able to show this stuff a bit more explicitly than they could before.
I like to think of for mature horror compared to something like Hostel, where it's like, look how mature that is, all that, but you're like, no. This is like, they're not shy of portraying exactly what they're dealing with, but not in like an indulgent and extremely. Like you get a sense from the director that he's doing it artistically. Like this movie has necrophilia and the killing of children and just blood in all manners you can imagine that relate to several scenarios that we would like to associate with more positive things, and it's I don't know, it's done in a way that's suitably creepy and portrayed with like a like the sense of overall helplessness. Like I said, that I've seen people complain they find it too disgusting, which I guess I understand, but that is kind of like the point in a lot of, you know what I mean?
Well, it's almost like, well, why do you watch a horror movie? It's like,
Yeah.
did you expect like just people dancing through fields of buttercups or something? Like it's supposed to be
Yeah.
disturbing.
And it's all about the context. It's not like it's portrayed as a positive, it's portrayed as evil. It's portrayed as the incarnation of evil, and good overcomes it, right? Like, how many times does Willem Dafoe have to be, the power of Christ compels you? Like, how many times before we make it very clear it's good versus evil, which is also refreshing about this movie. There's no gray morality here at all. It's just, this guy's Nosferatu is a pure agent of just Malabulgian evil, and everybody else is opposing him in the name of good.
Well, to your point, Razorfist, go on, Drinko.
I know, you go, and no.
I was going to say, to your point, like I do appreciate that Orlok is like irredeemably despicable and disgusting. He's a primal force of corruption, and and he's not sparkling, in the sunlight.
Yeah, this too.
Yeah, because there's this real tendency. I feel like they've done everything they can do with vampires at this point. Like they have made them monsters. They have made them tragic, sort of romantic, dark romance heroes that like they're pining for their lost love and stuff. They've made them teen heartthrobs. They've made them like goofy comedy characters. They've made them cool, like sensual villains. They've done everything. This takes it right back to its baseline of no, they're just fucking evil. They're not humans in the normal sense. They are a force of nature that exist only to consume, destroy, and corrupt. And they have to be stopped. And I think
like
that's nice.
The line where he says, "I am nothing but an appetite," right? Like,
Mm.
and the end of the film being that his appetite has been sated, but and it's so like addicting and indulging that even when he can see and hear that his death is right on the way, he can't stop.
Yeah.
Well, we've all been there, bro. When you're like wild horses could not drag me out of this one.
he got
I'm gonna finish, goddammit.
Yep.
Just close the blinds, bro.
No.
You just see him like smearing suntan lotion on himself. Like, I can do it. But no, overall, like a really a nice example of how we can still do classic movies, but with some modern concessions to advances in technology and advances in what's permitted, but not to the point where it becomes gratuitous. I think this movie strikes that perfect balance between all those different elements. And yeah, man, I just, Robert Eggers is one of those few filmmakers where I get excited about each new film that he makes.
Not to be pretentious, but he's an artist, right? You could say that
Yes.
about him. Whereas a lot of directors right now feel like they're for hire people who do the job as the studio wants.
Yeah, this is a passion project, plain and simple. He had done a stage version of this, I guess, before. Did it as a play, did Nosferatu as a play. So he already kind of had the framework for what he wanted to do with this. And so this is just something he's been trying to do for years. And didn't they tease it like, 5-7 years ago, something like that? Like, and it's been a long time in development. So it's nice to see it finally happen. It's even nicer to see, like, when was the last time you watched a vampire movie and it was a monster movie too? Like, we had Underworld, which is just we make vampires into Matrix characters.
Yeah,
and we had Twilight, which is we date the vampires for some reason.
We had Blade, where vampires are just like techno rave enthusiasts.
But we love Blade.
Hell yeah.
We do love Blade, yeah, but like they're not scary, I guess is the point. Like,
right. They just
it's
hang
not
out
as-
in clubs with lots of thudding techno music for some reason.
So yeah, we've gone through the whole gamut of what you can do with a vampire, and with this movie, yeah, you stripped it back to like something that's actually still a bit alien and a bit different and a bit unfathomable and a bit terrifying, which is nice. It's nice to see. So yeah, like if you haven't seen it, I guess probably it's going to get a recommendation from all of us here. I think we'd all
Hell
say
yeah.
it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Easy recommendation. Though I was curious, is it anyone here's favorite movie of the year of 2024?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
No.
yes. Yeah, hands down. I didn't watch a ton of movies. I watched Horizon and this and maybe one other thing. But and I liked everything I watched this year, strangely enough.
I watched 3 things. They were good.
Yeah, I watched things, and none of them sucked. That's all I care about.
I mean, I watched a bunch of movies this year, and it was slim pickings for good stuff. I mean, Nosferatu comes after the year ends. I watched this, I guess, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's actually pretty good. I think it was this and Terrifier 3 are the ones that I enjoyed last year.
Yeah.
I
Terrifying.
think those were the 2 ones that I liked.
Because I was talking to MauLer about this earlier while we were all kind of talking just before we went live, and I think in terms of favorite movies of the year, One Life is probably going to be my top pick, but I very much enjoyed Nosferatu. I enjoyed The Wild Robot. So I mean, those probably would be my top 3. I'm trying to think of like the movie. 2024 was this weird blur of like disappointments and absolute like carnage in terms of like trash, and so it's hard to like find the occasional gem that was amongst that. But yeah, those would probably be my top 3.
Have you seen The
picks.
Substance yet?
Yeah,
I've seen the ending of it just because I was curious.
you did it the
Drink
wrong way
is
around,
supposed to watch the
Drinker.
whole
Because
thing.
like well, everyone
Wrong
was
way
like, "Oh,
around.
the ending is absolutely batshit crazy, like gore, like not gore fest, but like just pure body horror." And I was like, "Oh, I've got to look this up." And yeah, I watched that.
What's the movie?
When you,
You can't just watch the ending.
when you uttered the word disappointment there, I could hear the Dune Part 2 subtext in there.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about
we
that.
don't talk about Dune, don't you?
I thought
That's-
2024 was quite good for horror, though. Because I really like Late Night with the Devil, The Substance, which is more of a body horror inspired by Cronenberg. Heretic was also a really smart script, which I appreciated. Yeah, there's a few good ones.
Can I say that I hate to say this, I was kind of disappointed by Late Night with the Devil.
Really?
Okay.
I really enjoyed that
Yeah.
one.
I think the overall story was decent. I think the way they shot it, like there comes a point where it's like the found footage thing just falls completely by
cheat.
the wayside.
They
like
cheat
it's so
significantly.
shit. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it
they
just- that
pretend
even
in the
pissed me off
beginning.
after a while.
I'll even say like
Um,
they cheat so much that it kind of breaks it. Like if they cheat a little here and there or this, that, and the other thing, it's like forgivable. But when you have a whole half of the movie as a result of a cheat, it's like
Yeah.
a little bit annoying.
So that aspect of it kind of took me out of it because it's like, well, you're undermining your own premise here. Like, whereas I think there would have been a really smart, interesting movie to be made if you really stuck rigidly to that found footage aspect of it, but they didn't. I think I can't remember the actor's name, but he gave a great performance as the lead. Like that guy is like generally
That's
really
Malchian,
entertaining.
right?
David Desmalchin, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's generally pretty solid in whatever he does. And the overall story wasn't bad, but yeah, I think the premise was not well served by what they actually delivered there for me.
I was a little bit disappointed in the ending, but I did think it was a clever mix of horror and satire with an innovative format that does have a bit of cheating, like MauLer said, but for the most part, I
I
enjoyed
really
it.
liked it though. Yeah, I'd still recommend it too. It's just, especially in the year 2024. Holy fuck!
Yeah, it is
like-
a standout for sure. As
like
a physical
goddamn
release too.
Yeah. There's another question here actually. It just came in. Cynical Drunkard says, question for the panels. What's your best and worst video games of the year? Do you all think that AAA gaming or Hollywood had the worst year?
Ooh,
So which did
Oh.
worse?
that's tough. I
Both had
feel
a
like
bad-
Hollywood started to put it together a little bit this year, more so. AAA gaming is in the complete doghouse. I mean, it's doing so badly. They pushed back the biggest bomb of the year so that we can have a bigger bomb at the beginning of this year.
Assassin's Creed, yeah.
Assassin's Creed. Sorry, Assassin's Floyd. Yes. Assassin's Floyd Shadow. So, yeah, I would say video games by far had a worse year. Not that Hollywood is setting the world on fire.
Yeah, just to throw them out, right? Like Veil Guards, Concord,
Yeah,
Outlast,
Laws.
Outlaws.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a rough year for games. The thing is, like, because it'd be tough for me to say, like, what's the worst game you played? Because I successfully avoided all those terrible games because of you guys. Like, you warned me off them.
Hooray!
We were
So I didn't play
zeros.
Concord. Yeah, I didn't play.
See, the
like
problem is when
Outlaws.
MauLer finds an awful video game, he wants me to play it all the time, and then I do, and then I'm the one who finishes a lot of time.
There's a meme factor to some of these games.
Oh yeah, for
okay?
sure.
Some of them are powerful. The Lord of Ringgollum meme factor, you know.
Oh god,
That's a classic, though. Come on.
I think Space Marine 2 might have been one of my favorites. Like
that was
God,
fun. I
was
enjoyed that a
fun.
lot. Yeah.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Well, there's Black Myth Wukong will obviously want to be mentioned. I thought Astrobot was awesome. Balatro came out this year, right? As in 2024. I know that's because that got game of the
which
year.
one? Sorry,
Balatro card game.
Balatro. I think so. At least you told me to play it this year. I think so.
Though maybe that
Last
doesn't
year,
count. That's,
whatever, you know what I mean.
Indie as fuck. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst
Helldivers
game
2 was
without
fun.
question. Worst game without question was Veilguard that actually came out.
Whoa.
It was ass. It was indescribably ass. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know how you could see games like Outlaws and stuff bombing and go, yeah, you know what? Veilguard's gonna scratch the right itch. Yeah, let's make that happen.
I
So,
agree
I-
with you though in the sense that like Hollywood was already kind of in the gutter before this.
Yeah.
Like it's had several bad years, and so we were all, we were all almost accepting of the fact that like yeah they're in trouble. But man, AAA gaming, this was the year when the bubble burst, and I feel like the veil has been lifted on so much of the shit that they've been trying to push on people to the point where now like yeah, normal people are very much aware of it at this point. And yeah, like that trailer that came out for the fucking Interstellar Naughty Dog garbage, that was just perfectly on brand. Perfectly on, every meme that you could come up with for what AAA gaming is, that was distilled into that trailer.
Yeah.
It was so perfect.
As far as like best games, man, there were a few good ones. I liked Metal Slug Tactics. I liked Stalker 2 was pretty good, although it was glitchy. There were a few really good ones actually, and some games that I thought were gonna be bad and actually wound up being pretty playable. Like the new Indiana Jones game is not terrible actually, which I was surprised by. Like it's actually not ass. Once I saw the lead narrative designer in the pronoun people flag shirt, I was like, oh, this will be an abortion to rival all abortions. But no, it actually wound up being okay. It's almost like a Indiana Jones meets BioShock or Deus Ex kind of a thing. So it's really not
give
bad.
it a playthrough, like complete or?
Oh, I played through. I streamed it a bit. Yeah.
Because I thought it was awful.
Yeah, I did one long stream. I think it was so fucking dull.
Did you like?
I do not differ with the idea that the plot is dull and
There's
and
that.
the game
Because
and the
I
game.
really like
Go ahead.
the authenticity of trying to draw back to an Indiana Jones we actually like, an era that we don't want to kill ourselves over. I get that, and I think that they did a lot of it well.
Yeah.
But there's so much modern gaming sludge in it, like
Yeah.
recreating.
Oh, please allow me to frame this in proper context. I am not putting it in my top games of the year. It's just following Indiana Jones and the sensibly priced condo of Boca Raton, the movie that we just endured.
Yeah. Well, people. Oh shit, you're muted, mate.
You muted.
You muted yourself.
Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
No, you have
Yeah,
a
but
different
I think-
microphone.
you're coming through your webcam, I think.
There we go. How about that?
Technology.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I accidentally unplugged myself for a second. Much like Harrison Ford. But anyway, so after that, it was a welcome kind of reaffirmation of OG Indiana Jones. So
I did have many people were asking me, like, is it at least better than Dial of Destiny? I was like, Yes.
What isn't?
Probably,
like,
yeah.
any one of us like doing a like
Yeah.
bottom up like dump in the pan is probably going to be
Yeah.
yeah,
I
better
would
than
say
that.
I would say scrotal rejuvenation surgery is probably more pleasant
Yay.
than the last two Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
I'm just
I
looking at
hate-
the. Oh, go ahead.
It pains me to say this, right? Because I know I'm going to get shit for it, but I really enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like I know
I have no clue
people
about that
hated
one.
that game, but I really enjoyed it. Like as someone who played Final Fantasy VII back in the day, that was just an absolute trip down memory lane, and there was an element of nostalgia to it. But man, to see those characters rebuilt in like a modern context, I suppose, with like the benefit of voice actors and modern graphics and stuff, I really got a lot out of that one.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the games. Dragon's Dogma 2, that was pretty fun. I played that.
Did that
Stellar
come out
Blade
this
was
year?
sorry.
Did that
Stellar
come
Blade
out
was
this
good.
year? Really?
Yeah, that was 2024, pretty sure.
Oh, interesting. I thought it was last year for some reason, but anyway.
Stellar Blade was pretty good.
Yeah,
Not only
Yeah,
for
I
the
like
boobs,
that.
also for the gameplay.
the fights, the combat system was pretty decent.
Yeah,
Like
had some decent bosses too. I was
If you're a BattleTech fiend like me, probably one of the better MechWarrior games to come out in years was MechWarrior 5 Clans. Full game where you play as the clans was real. It was actually surprisingly good. I wouldn't put it like top 5 games of the year or anything, but it was really, really good.
yeah.
There's
There you go.
another super chat came in here from Enoch Mammon. Says, I saw Nosferatu last week. Loved it. I saw it again yesterday with my dad, and he loved it too. I've read Dracula 3 times, seen almost every Dracula movie, and read Edgar Allan Poe's complete works in the 3rd grade. This movie was made for me. Nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be.
Yeah, this movie is definitely for goth girls. Let's just throw that out there.
Well, everybody knows I'm a secret goth girl
Right?
on the inside,
Yeah.
so there you go.
And Social Morlock, happy drunk year. If you're looking for great vampiric storytelling, read the Necroscope books by Brian Lumley. Terrifying, believable vampires with a touch of paranormal espionage thrown in the mix. Must reads. There you go.
Nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah, one of the other things that's I guess come out this week is there's been problems with James Gunn's DCU. Not only has Batman has now been pushed back to the year 2072, I think, at this point. Like,
Correct.
Mhm.
We
I
don't know
think,
if these are release dates now or Blade Runner sequels. We're not sure.
yeah, our grandchildren are going to really enjoy Batman 2, I think.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to get a lot out of that.
On the deathbeds, they can tell us how it was.
Right.
The funny thing is as well, because that Batman is not going to be connected to the other Batman that's going to be part of James Gunn's DCU. So there's going to be a separate version of him. So how many Batmans have we had over the past like 5 years? We're running short of scope for expanding that character. But anyway, so that's one problem that he's dealing with. The other one is rumors that the Superman movie has had pretty bad test screenings so far. People have described it as a combination of The Mummy and the first Captain America movie. That's the funny thing is, like, when you say that, that sounds amazing compared to what we've had in terms of superhero movies.
Wait, hold on. Which Mummy? Are we talking Tom Cruise?
No, probably the
well, we don't
Brendan
know.
Fraser.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's that. I'm assuming it's that kind of goofy tone,
Right.
you know. But yeah, those two things combined, not a great start, I don't think. You know, Creature Commandos came out. Apparently, it was well reviewed critically. No one actually watched it though, because no one cared.
True.
They're also dealing with continuity problems in the sense that, you know, you're completely refreshing your lineup. So you've got a new Superman. You're probably going to have a new Wonder Woman, new Aquaman, new Batman. But you're also going to keep some of the characters. You're going to keep Peacemaker. You're going to keep Amanda Waller. You're also going to keep Jason Momoa, but now he's playing Lobo. So you've got the same actor playing a different character. you can see how this might result in a bit of confusion amongst audiences, where you're keeping some bits but not others, but it's supposed to be a reboot, but it's not really because you've got a bunch of stuff that carries over. What even is it at this point? I don't know.
Right.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, the
I don't know.
DCU seems to be a bit of a mess at the moment. If I was Gunn, I probably would have done a Superman movie, done a completely new Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, given these characters their own respective stories before branching out to the other stuff that he's doing, like Clayface, which is now third up in the running, The Authority, Swamp Thing. Like, these are obscure characters that the majority of audiences aren't too familiar with. So I have no idea why they're coming before.
And these are
the new
movies that
Batman.
would have, they're the kind of movies that are going to accrue an audience when superheroes are hot, right? And
Yeah.
2024, 2025 now, that, yeah, you're kind of striking while the iron is flash frozen. It's not really, I don't know.
Yeah. It's yeah, man. We've talked about this on previous open bars where it kind of feels like the prospects for the whole superhero genre kind of rest on Superman. If the movie doesn't do well, and I mean seriously well, like they got problems to the
We know
point where
enough
it's
through
not
history
really.
now that we can see like the success of any given project will direct what happens next, right? You know, like the whole Black Adam, The Rock versus James Gunn's future path for DC is like we got an answer on that. We saw it all play out, and the Batman it was successful, but just didn't make enough money for it to be fast tracked into that sequel. And now you could tell they've probably been discussing this for ages. What are we doing with Batman? Can't be having multiple Batmans, and so I think I just agree with everyone else's sentiment. The second it said, "Oh yeah, 1 year delay," everyone goes, "So you know how you want it?"
Yeah, you know.
It's like, no, it's just a delay. You're like, you got to announce people leaving the project. You got to announce some other things that relate to Batman that don't even relate to Reeves, and then Reeves will say he's leaving the project.
Yeah, but not too long before they. Oh, go ahead.
I just had to say, like, I've always seen the Batman as like it wasn't intended to be a series. It was like a palate cleanser. Like, because we had so many different versions of Batman and so many different takes on him, and he was even in television shows and whatever, and there have been so many disparate takes, and of course you had kind of the Batfleck abortive attempt. It was like, okay, let's kind of rinse our mouth out real quick and just have a Batman movie, like where he's solving a crime or something.
Yeah.
And in that context, it kind of functions well, although it has more issues than Cosmos. So it's like, all right, whatever. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but as far as performing that specific task, it actually did it reasonably well. I don't think we need more of it. Like, I think this is a blessing in disguise.
The problem I think they have now is like Penguin did way better than they probably expected.
Yeah, true.
And so now there's like this actual weird wave of fan enthusiasm for this version of the Batman universe, but it's completely disconnected from what James Gunn wants to do with like Batman within the DCU, within an overarching, connected universe. And so like, I just think to try and manage this, like, how the fuck do you even like connect this all up? How do you even help general audiences to understand, right? There's one version of Batman that's having his own little self-contained adventures, and he's totally different from the other Batman that's part of like this big connected universe that we're also doing under the same brand. But we want you to buy both of them and go see both of them at the cinemas because, we want them all to be super popular so we can make shitloads of money. It's a tough sell. Like, as much as I fucking hate where Marvel's gone as a brand, I at least respect the fact that like they have one consistent universe that they stick to. Just all within that.
Yeah, it's gonna get weird as well because if they have like these two different universes at the same time, which I guess you can now call the Penguin and the Batman like the Elseworlds DC stuff right now, because that's not supposed to be connected to anything. But imagine the second one, if it ever comes out, does like really well, and they have their other Batman that they wanted to have and it does really shitty, then they might get some strange ideas like, oh, how can we get that Batman over to this one that we want to be successful? Yeah. You know how they are. They want to get all the successful stuff together. It's like, oh, maybe with DC extended universe, metaverse.
Yeah,
that forever hedging their bets is just killing them in generations.
Yeah.
It's like, commit. Figure this out, do it, get it done, make it good. But no, we gotta.
This is why I always I always wanted ridiculous shit to happen, like say Blue Beetle had made like $3 billion, like it was the most successful movie of all time, and then they're suddenly scratching their heads like, what the fuck do we do now?
Blue Beetle is our Iron Man.
Yeah, like, just stuff like that, because it's like you're obviously just
It's like if
the
the Jackson 5 had spun off and Tito's album sold best. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Part of the problem is that they're trying to create an interconnected universe to catch some of the lightning in a bottle that Marvel did with the first 2-3 phases of the MCU. And I mean, Razorfist was sort of alluding to this, but the first Batman worked because it was a self-contained elsewhere world story that didn't try and tie itself to any other comic book character. And I think if they went that direction with Superman, Wonder Woman, Clayface, it would be fine. But part of the difficulty that they're facing now is that trying to link everything together, and it's not happening organically.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you guys about is Squid Game Season 2 is upon us. I've been away for a few days, so I only got the chance to watch like the first 3 episodes before I went. And so I don't know where it's all heading, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on how it compares to Season 1 and whether it was worth doing. Because the impression I'm getting is like they're just doing the same thing over again, and I don't know why.
So, like, nice and spoiler-free. You know, you would have been able to tell already. It's not had the impact Season 1 had. It's almost disappeared already, which is like, a lot of choices narratively that a lot of people don't think works, and a lot of contrivances to make certain events happen where it's just like maybe everyone was right and that you should have dropped it with that first season being real solid and real. But there, I'm not gonna lie. There've been highlights. There's some performances and story beats that are like really awesome, and you can tell the writer still has some punch, but it's just nowhere near hitting as hard. And I don't know. You can sort of feel it really sag when you. For anybody who doesn't know, and this is fair warning to you, Drinker, as well, and to everybody, it is a cliffhanger, half a season.
Yeah,
right.
You're not getting a full season, which. The big thing I think that is fair criticism is they did not market that way. Like you're expecting to get a season story, but you're not getting that.
that's what I was expecting when I watched it. But then it ended.
I would say
I was very confused.
The thing it ends on, you'll feel very much like, well, what about this, and that, and this, and well, okay, next year, I guess, fine. Which I don't find that satisfying with a lot of cliffhanger endings that split into 2 parts. You can do it way better than that. But this is definitely a please come back next year. We are not done. You want to see what happens, don't you? You're like, okay.
I mean, it really did strike me with Season 1. Like the novelty value is what got people attached to it. It's like, oh, this is quite a cool story. It's like an interesting moral dilemma that you put the characters in. What would you do in that situation? Like risk it all for this chance to change your life? That's fair enough. But that's a card you can only play once, and the novelty is now lost. Like if you're just doing the same thing again, and the hook now is like, well, you've got this one character who's done it before, and he's trying to prevent the same thing happening again, but it kind of does. That's not really enough to get you interested again.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? Not in terms of premise or anything, but you remember when Season 1 of Jessica Jones was such a hit, and then they tried to go back to the well, and the whole time I'm just thinking, okay, you adapted the only worthwhile Jessica Jones story that has ever existed, the Purple Man story. What are you gonna do after this? As it turns out, the answer was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the same thing happened here. It sounds very, very familiar.
Part of the problem with Season 2 is that Season 1 ends with a pledge with Ji-hun, the protagonist of that, and the decisions that he makes throughout Season 1 culminate in a final decision that he makes at the end of Season 1, where you think that he's going in a particular direction, and Season 2 begins with that, but you sort of get blue-balled at the end of Season 2 because he doesn't get to fulfill the pledge that he made at the end of Season 1. But part of what made Season 1 so compelling is that he goes on such a significant character arc as a broken man addicted to gambling that's lost contact with his daughter. He's extremely selfish, and he becomes I don't know, like a beacon of humanity at the end, where and you see the contrast between that and his best friend, who at the start is like loved by his community, but sort of regresses as there's more money sort of put into the pot. And and there's other fantastic characters that you sort of learn to love as we learn more about them in the quieter moments of season 1. Whereas in season 2, I don't care about any of the characters, and the one character that I did care about doesn't change. He's pretty much the same same character he was at the end of season 1. So season 2 was a major letdown for me.
Well,
no, it's a shame that it's a shame that it's gotten to that point. I don't think any of us like went into season 2 of Squid Game like thinking this is going to be, this is going to redefine the series, or it's going to like really build on season 1. I think the best we could have hoped for is going to be, okay, it's a decent enough follow up to season 1. Retelling a story that didn't really need to be told, but okay. Whereas it seems like it's more just a kind of disappointing cash grab follow up that was capitalizing on the success that they totally did not expect from season 1. I did like how they obviously realized the whole like fucking pink hair thing was a bad idea, because they did away with that in the first 2 minutes.
That's funny, dude.
That was funny. That was
so.
Funny.
There's a lot of people commented as well, like how much older the main character looks. Like, there's a lot of jokes like that's what the acolyte will do to you, man. But I assume it's just like I get the impression the actors lost a bit of weight in between seasons, and that can sometimes age you quite a bit when you're at a certain age, And I think that was all it was. But yeah, the difference is quite noticeable in this.
It's there's a lot of directions they could have taken it, and there's a lot of better ways they could have written the story as they have. But generally speaking, I've noticed a significant amount of disappointment from the audience, and it is a tough act to follow somewhat. There was probably a way they could have done it that we'd right now be saying like easy recommendation, go check it out. But like I'm actually kind of withholding recommendation. I want to see season 2 part 2 before I'd say it's worth seeing.
Yeah, I feel the same way, because wait, did I watch it all in one go, because I wanted to finish watching before I went over to MauLer's. So I watched like in one go, and it's like some parts was like, oh, this is pretty good, I enjoyed this, and then in other parts I just drifted off, started doing other things, and it's like, oh wait, I'm still watching the show here in some bits, and it's like, oh, this is another good thing, and then it ended, and I was like, oh, well, did I like this or did I not? It's like
there are just plot lines without payoffs. There's a sequence of scenes, and you're like, so what happened with that? And you're like, I'm not going to find it until next year. And it's like, well, that feels very empty right now, as an experience. Like,
That's the frustrating thing, because I was super invested in season 1. Like, the characters were really interesting, and it, as you progress through the episodes, it becomes obvious that like a lot, if not all of these people are going to die. It's just a question of how and when, and you do care about them because they're interesting people and you want them to make it. I haven't felt that with this season so far. I don't know, I'm only a few episodes in, but already I'm just like, they're kind of just caricatures, and a lot of them are just like kind of assholes, and I don't really care if they make it or not. And I suspect that's going to be a thing that continues.
There's some people I care somewhat for, but I kind of agree with Niet that it's season 1. It's kind of hard to compare because the cast in that were a hell of a lot stronger, I think. But again, I'm talking about half a story. For all I know, it can improve significantly or get much worse depending on how they end this story or can develop. Because for the record, like a lot of the Squid Game participants, I may not know what the point of several of them even is yet, because I haven't been given that material. So it's hard to speak on it,
So it's that cliffhangery where it just leaves you completely hanging.
I won't be able, if you found the Spider-Verse cliffhangery stuff frustrating, this will frustrate you.
It's a good comparison. Yeah, that is a good comparison, actually. Yeah.
I think it's fine if like the B and C plots are unresolved, but the main plot is also, the A plot is unresolved in this as well.
It's fine to have a broad story that's not complete, but you need to give us some closure and satisfaction on the other stories that are happening. If you're going to make this a season,
Yeah, because this isn't season 2, part 1.
No.
It's meant to be an entire complete season, so there should be a narrative arc to it that gives you
But,
some sort of closure.
it is in the sense that that is absolutely what you receive entertainment-wise. It is part 1 for sure. I think you're gonna, even with me saying this, Trigger, I think you're still gonna be like, "Wow, that was lame," and I'll be like, "Yeah."
I was curious as well, since we're starting 2025. You know, like this is our opportunity to look forward to the year that's coming.
Yay!
Like, is there anything you guys are excited for? Anything you're looking forward to? Anything that you think might be good?
28 years later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
like that one.
Assassin's Creed Shadow.
I don't care for that at all. I was never really super into the Assassin's Creed franchise, so I'm kind of disconnected. Unless someone tells me it's super memeable to stream, I'll maybe give it a stream or two, but otherwise I'll probably give it a skip.
that game is gonna fucking kill Ubisoft. Like,
oh, if that one fails, it's Jover. It's just
yeah.
They put it to February now, right?
Obviously, super excited, all of us are, for Captain America: Brave New World. Ho-ho.
I keep forgetting about it. I think it's mentioned.
Everyone
People are gonna skip it
Everyone's
while they're
favorite
watching
film. What do
it.
you mean?
Yeah.
gonna be huge.
For me, video games wise, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, man. Come on, that's gonna be awesome.
No,
Are they gonna? Because I know the original game, they were quite adamant about, like, we're not going to cater to modern audiences with this one. Like, we're telling an authentic,
they
European story.
They set it in medieval Bohemia, and the cancel pigs immediately jumped on. There's no black people in this. Wow, I wonder.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I wonder why.
Figure out why.
And so the developers were like, "Yeah, in case you're not aware, it's set in medieval Bohemia, and we're gonna go on and keep making this."
So are they gonna, like, have they gone CD Projekt Red?
No.
They
In
stuck
fact,
to
some
their
of the
guns?
developers who are fleeing CD Projekt Red in their omnipresent wave of wokeness have actually gone over to Warhorse Studios and are working on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So the opposite, they've cross-pollinated away. So I'm, cautiously optimistic, as with anything in 2025, but what I've seen looks amazing. So I'm still.
Are you guys excited for The Witcher 4? Because I want to hear a woman's struggles in medieval times.
Yeah. What would that be? Every second family member dying of the plague? Is that what that woman's struggle is?
Maybe that's the one. Yeah.
The thing is, like, I've got no issue with Ciri being the main character, because, like, the Witcher 3 made it clear that's where they were going anyway.
Right.
So, like, that's fine. But, like, there's ways to do that and make it work and make it not be just pandering to the usual crowd. But that's what they're doing, it seems, with this. And, like, yeah, the politics has to be thick and fast with something like that. And I just think, why alienate so much of your audience that would have been sympathetic to this game otherwise?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Oh well.
Especially when, apparently she stopped moisturizing between games and looks like Theresa May now. I don't know what is going on there. She does not look right. They changed her design clearly, and it's not just a graphical upgrade, because have graphics upgraded that much since The Witcher 3? Really?
We've stagnated. Graphically, we've stagnated for the past 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Those returns have well diminished. So I don't think that's it. It's clearly a directed art design change. They're trying to make her look more homely.
Homely.
But even that, I don't know. Just look, I'm not a big Witcher guy anyways. I did a whole thing talking about the origins of The Witcher and whatnot. I'm roundly despised for my opinions on The Witcher, so I'm not the guy to ask.
I don't know about you guys. I'm excited for Snow White.
Yeah. I was about to mention that one.
That's going to pay for a fucking extension on my house.
Oh my god!
I wonder what's happening with that Daily Wire version of Snow White. I wonder.
Yeah,
that's just
don't expect too much out of that.
That's like finished, right? They're just waiting. They're going to release it at the same time. Is the idea, I guess?
Didn't they fire Brett Cooper?
They
so
did.
It doesn't even work for them anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
Or maybe they didn't fire her, but, like, they parted companies. So, like, I don't know how the distribution of that's going to work, but.
Oh, we got a Minecraft movie as well. That's gonna be great. Passion of the Christ Resurrection. I can't believe that's a real title I just read on my phone.
The big question for the big
Crucify
question mark
this.
for me, the big question mark for me all year is not even a movie or a game; it's a show, and it's the new Daredevil. They're rebooting Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it's like the first stuff we heard about it was just sounded burn victim ugly. And then we saw some stills and they hired back the old cast, and I think there was a reorientation there that took place. I hope it's enough. I don't know. I'm a big
I
Daredevil
do
fan.
not trust current day Marvel to do Daredevil. I don't trust them to do justice to it.
I feel like it'll be surface level even if they get things right, you know? It just the
It'll be a
soul's not gonna
Daredevil
be
skin
there.
suit.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the beating, rotten heart of MCU slop.
Yeah.
Like underneath it all. It's going to be the same crap.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, it was the last Daredevil show was awesome. First off, like it was incredible, but it was incredible because of the people behind the camera who were working on it. All those people are gone. All those people are gone. Drew Goddard and all those kind of people who were writing the stuff. Christos Gage, the writing staff, the creative staff. They split a long time ago, and you've got a guy who I think the showrunner was like, yeah, as I was working on it, I think I was 1 or 2 episodes deep, and I decided to read some Daredevil comics. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
oh no, what are we
better
doing?
late than never.
Nice of you to get involved. Sir.
Appreciate you showing up.
Oh man.
Well, Echo's pretty much destroyed the Kingpin, who is supposed to be Daredevil's chief antagonist. So I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
Wasn't Echo part of that like Marvel Spotlight like spin-off kind of style where it's going to be like more grounded, perhaps slightly more violent, more mature, more adult stories, and Echo is what we got.
Oh yeah, Echo have. I forgot about that, and I watched all of it. Like,
yeah. So yeah, I mean, if that's the best they can do in that genre, then my hopes for Daredevil are not high.
Well, and his last appearance was getting cucked by She-Hulk.
Oh god, no! That was so bad.
In the yellow pajamas, no less.
This is what I mean, man. Like, there's been so much damage done to that Marvel brand at this point. Like, so many failed shows, so many ridiculous movies.
Yeah,
it's getting into Star Wars territory. It's that bad.
Yeah.
Remember, She-Hulk came out at the same time as Rings of Power season 1. That was a rough month.
Oof.
Not for YouTubers, it wasn't. No, not for
Yeah.
YouTubers. That was a fine month.
Isn't it interesting as well, though? Like with season 2 of Rings of Power, no one even cared enough to hate it. It was just forgotten.
Oh, I
about.
cared enough to hate it.
It's
I hated
beyond
it a lot,
hate.
actually.
I mean, people that are super passionate about like the Lord of the Rings lore and so on, obviously are going to hate it. But like, just general audiences just moved beyond it at that point. They watched season 1 and thought, nah, this isn't for me. I don't care. I'm not going to be tuning back in. And it just nobody cared anymore.
I mean, look at Rohirrim. Nobody fucking watched that.
No.
Yeah.
Except maybe me. I don't know. It was fucking bad.
The people on this panel perhaps watched it, and that was pretty much it. Like,
yeah, if you haven't, don't. Just don't.
It's a waste of your time.
Yeah,
it's
like if you were to look at a Venn diagram of like the target audience for War of Rohirrim, it's like, well, let's see, fans of bad CGI'd Americanized anime and Lord of the Rings, feminists, like, oh yeah, that's a real big target audience there.
I've heard the theory that it was purely done as a rights retainer, and I could kind of believe that. It's got that feel to it. Apparently, from what I've read anyway, like more than 60 different animation studios worked on this just to get it done in time. And I can believe that.
Okay.
Which again is like a real sign of quality, isn't it? Like when so many people just have to pitch in to get this thing over the line just to retain the rights. Yeah.
The animation doesn't look great. Let me be blunt here.
It really
does
doesn't.
not look good.
No.
There's some backgrounds that look kind of nice. I give them
It's
that.
it's the inconsistency. I think like there's scenes
Yeah.
where you could tell they mocapped it and it looks halfway decent, like characters like fighting and stuff. And then there's other scenes where they're on horseback and it's like someone glued a cardboard cutout of a human to a fucking horse and they just turned it loose. Like it's so awkward. So yeah,
It's
garbage.
weird. But hey, potentially good stuff. New Doom game, The Dark Ages. That looks pretty sick from the trailers I've seen.
Yeah.
Does GTA 6 come out next year or this year or not? I've lost track. I feel like it's
Theory,
switches every month, every week.
Give it another 5 years, Metal.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they've got at least 2 more remasters of GTA 5 to release first.
Right.
I
I
mean,
mean,
was
some
that
more money
bad
out of it.
too.
I mean, they make
what-
$1 quadrillion every year on shark cards. I mean, they don't need to.
Right. I think you can encapsulate the Rockstar work ethic in the following statement. Red Dead Redemption 1 came out for PC this year.
Yay!
Yeah. Nice
right
one,
in the-
guys.
Yeah, striking while the iron is hot, guys. Way to go.
It's like, oh, I guess they won something. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Throw it at the pigs.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's like your standard YouTube commentary channel approach. Like find something that got a bit of traction and then just run it into the
Oh,
ground
yeah.
before moving on to the next thing.
Oh, I'm just seeing there's another Marvel game coming out. 1943, Rise of Hydra.
Oh, right, that one.
I'm sure that's going to be a game.
That'd be a game of all time.
Oh,
Yeah.
available on Xbox Game Pass. Nice. Don't need to pay extra for it. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say about that.
That is
Forrest
fair.
Gump.
Before I pass out, allow me to read out a few super chats. I always say this because I had to fly home today and like I've been up since 3 a.m. this morning, so it's things are starting to get a bit blurry in the world around me.
Human beings shouldn't be conscious at that time of the day.
I know it's it felt unnatural. Tom Waiting says, do you think Johnny Depp's daughter's rise in popularity might help him to get mainstream roles again? Breadtubers have been doing a lot of hit pieces on him recently for some reason. There seems to be a bit of a resurgence of the whole Amber Heard trial, like trying to reframe her as like the tragic hero of all this.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I don't think his daughter's success is going to help his career much.
Right? Tragic hero. Yeah, you remember that scene in Hamlet where he pinched a turd in the king's... yeah, absolutely. No.
That's my favorite scene, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think his daughter doing well in this particular movie is going to help him in any way. I don't think they're connected, really.
Nah,
Isn't
probably
it,
not.
Like, what's happening with Pirates? Do we not know what the future of that franchise is yet?
Like pirates in general, or
What's the state globally of
know.
Pirates?
what's up with pirates?
I don't know.
It's still all the rage in Somalia, man. I think.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, we had the all-female Pirates of the Caribbean. Was that what happened to that? That was going to be great. That's what everyone wanted.
Well, we all wanted the porn version, but
and then yeah, as far as I can tell, like there's just debate over whether or not they want to try and make any money with a Pirates of the Caribbean theoretically 6, right? But like, do you have Johnny Depp or not? That's like the big. Without Jack Sparrow, I feel like nah.
the thing is, even with Jack Sparrow, the past
yeah.
couple have been a bit shit. So, can you make it work? I don't know. Do you want to make it work? He's like 60 now. It's getting tricky. He's getting into like tricky territory where it's like, I don't know if he can realistically play Jack Sparrow anymore. I'd like to think he could, but it's tough.
The script would have to be superb for it to work, even with him coming back.
I think there would have to be concessions to his age as well, like somehow work that into the script. But yeah, I'm not sure. Next one is from Tom. Yeah, same guy. Tom Waiting says, "Make him scary and give him a mustache." Robert Eggers quote, probably. Yeah,
Sounds right.
Ewan Kamiya gifted 1 Critical Drinker membership, so thank you, sir. He also said, I've seen Nosferatu. The movie was satisfying enough. I recommend it to my co-workers. There you go. We recommend it too.
Yeah.
Slack Attack. Do you think the films of the 90s and eras before ever had to go through extensive reshoots to the same degree that modern films do? I can't imagine it being a selling point to new talent if it's simply guaranteed at this point. Yeah, that's a kind of an interesting thing. I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like Marvel kind of popularized reshoots as just industry standard now. You know, we do the basic version, do some test screenings, and then do a whole bunch of reshoots to fix it.
They went from normalizing a huge amount of reshoots to just like 4 huge amounts of reshoots. Like, not even happening.
Previously, it was like a mark of Cain to a movie if you had to go back and do reshoots, right? It was like, oh, that's snafu, right?
Yeah.
My favorite movie, Blade Runner, they had to go back and reshoot a whole happy ending sequence and they had to add a bunch of scenes, and that was at the time considered one of the greatest boondoggles in the history of Hollywood cinema at that time. Now it's just like, we'll release kind of a test screening version and then we'll go back and shoot 3 more hours of film. Like, what?
Yeah, I guess it's a problem that they have so much money that they could just do this. It's like, oh yeah, I guess we just film half another movie. Why not? It's like in a video game, press the button, like reshoot. Anyway, we're coming back and
it's like a pre-release version of a video game.
Yeah. Movie. I mean, there probably comes a point where they have to budget for it. They'll say the initial budget is 150 million, and we're also going to set aside an extra 50 million for the inevitable reshoots that we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
I guess that gets to that point where it's just expected then, but yeah, you like to think like, well, we took the time to really refine the script down to something that was really good and that we're all really happy with, and we're pretty confident that this is going to be a solid movie, rather than throw a bunch of shit against the wall and hope that something sticks. And like, oh, the test audiences hated it. Well, let's just reshoot half of it and then try and iterate a better version.
Yeah.
And erase Henry Cavill's mustache at the same time.
Oh God.
That's going to live in infamy in my head forever.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a time as well where they just go like, oh, you know what? We're just going to scrap this whole movie we have basically completed. It was Batgirl, was it, right?
It was, yeah.
Just throw it in the trash. Fuck it. It's like, oh, that's concerning.
I mean, that is Warner Brothers just being an absolute fucking chaos.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, the more I see behind the scenes of that movie, the more I'm like, I kind of wanted to see it now.
I wanted the second they canceled it, I wanted to see it. That's just how it goes.
Oh, it's a forbidden fruit now. It's a forbidden movie. I want to see it.
The studio would say this is too bad to release. I'm like, oh, I've got to see it now. Like,
it's like when people thought the Snyder cut of Justice League was going to be this masterpiece, and it turned out it was just longer.
Yeah.
It was longer and grayer.
Yeah,
I hope in a couple of years, 10 years from now, someone's gonna come around the corner. It's like, I snagged a copy. I'll put it on the internet. Go fucking watch it. It's like, yeah, it would be awesome.
It will happen. It's got to.
Oh yeah,
isn't that what happened with Roger Corman's Fantastic Four in the 90s? Like that movie was buried and then somebody released it online.
Yes.
I'm not sure how it was, because it was kind of released at a very limited run because it was purely a rights retainer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to get like some theatrical release, even if it was just like, one cinema for a day,
right?
Like something. But yeah, I think it all takes is for someone to hold on to the prints, and then it's like, yeah, I'll just release that.
That was one of those like perennial. You'd see it being sold at some seedy stall at a comic book convention, kind of. Along with the Simpsons Tracy Ullman shorts, you know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to have this, kid.
Gene the Revenant says, glad the bar's open again. It feels like it's been a year since we saw it. Well, it's been even longer for us. David Jones says, MauLer, we best get a Nosferatu EFAP or I'm gonna get ya.
Oh no.
Maybe. We got loads of stuff in the pipeline, all right? No promises.
Matthew Leach says, what's up with Echo? Many newer tweets show his TDS obsession with Trump, and he's laughing at Trump supporters, which is some of his audience. He needs help. Like that, he's entitled to post whatever he wants on social media. Like, personally, I would try and stay away from politics, but it's up to him. It's his channel. Barry McCockiner says, hello, legends. Hope you had a macocular break. Also, Drinker Rags hasn't been on since episode 50. Right that wrong. We've had Rags on since then. Wasn't he in for Open Bar 100, like the special?
We had him for an anniversary thing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a while since we had him on, so we should bring him back for sure. RRTNZ says Chuck Norris could throw the One Ring into the fires of Mount Doom while he was still standing in the Shire. Happy
Hell
New
yeah.
Year.
Haven't heard a Chuck Norris joke in a while. Damn.
Yeah, it's no-
That's an old meme that still kind of works. A little
yeah,
bit.
it's an older meme, sir, but it checks out.
Yeah, it still works.
I love all the Denethor jokes, like when he's giving Faramir a hard time. It's like, Father, I just met a halfling. It's like, Boromir would have met a wholeling. He also says Chuck Norris simply can walk into Mordor. That's
Damn.
pretty good. True. Stormbringer, he's been a member for 10 months, says, any chance we could get an Open Bar t-shirt in the merch store? The original background pic with you and MauLer. Thanks for all that you do and cheers. Yeah, I can speak to the merch guys and get that sorted for you quite easily. Yeah, so I'll get that done for you. Techno Crow, have you considered inviting Adam Baldwin, Jane from Firefly, to the VIP lounge? He was also in Full Metal Jacket. Yes, we know. And was a participant in Gamergates.
He had coined the term.
Really? Was he
Yeah.
the guy who came up with it?
He dubbed it Gamergate. Yes.
Adam Baldwin would be a great guest to have on because he's been in a whole bunch of movies that I've got a lot of interest in, and Firefly for sure. Do you think, MauLer, could it be that we could get him on to watch or talk about Serenity with us?
Listen, I'm not saying that. It wouldn't be an amazing experience. Or I'm just, yeah, maybe, yeah, sure.
More importantly, Independence Day.
Yeah.
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 Honestly, I'd love to hear him talk about Full Metal Jacket as well. That movie was fucking bonkers. Chucksenhausen says, cheers to 2025. I cannot wait for the finale of Cobra Kai to premiere next month, along with your review of it. It's going to be hash brown legendary. Well, hopefully so. I mean, this season's been a bit all over the place. Hopefully they can end it on a good note. Stormbringer gifted 5 Critical Drinker memberships, so thank you, my friend. Jordan Pendragon, I never offer suggestions since I know you always watch lists rivals that of Boogie's grocery shopping list, but since you're already discussing it, I'd like to quickly highlight the photoplay release of the 1922 Nosferatu. It features a reorchestrated soundtrack by James Bernard, who composed the scores for the Hammer horror films, and the music matches the film with a correct real playback speed. Wow.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Right on.
Take a look at that for sure. Tom Waiting says, Slipmaker, a super underrated YouTube channel, released today an over 5-hour retrospective on Kevin Conroy's career as Batman. Highly recommended.
Oh, cool.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nice. 5 hours. Damn. Jackson Loves Nintendo says, happy 2025. I thought the cast drama was better in Squid Game Season 1, but the story was better in Season 2. Phenomenal season equal to Season 1, especially the finale. Well,
All right. Well, you know,
MauLer might
That
disagree
makes
with you
one
on
of
that
us.
Glad you're happy.
Yeah. What's that? Moshicat says, hey, panel. Any thoughts on the Mickey 17 trailer? New movie from Boon Jong-ho from Parasite and with Pattinson. By the way, Drinker, I started Shogun and it keeps amazing me. Thanks for the recommendation. Wishing you the best in 2025. Thank you. And I'm glad you enjoyed Shogun. But yeah, as for Mickey 17, I haven't seen the trailer for that yet. So
Me either.
don't know much about it, I'm afraid. Kukao says, Happy New Year. And he's been a member for 13 months. So thank you, man.
Nice.
Will Over Heels Enterprises says, favorite Gothic city? Is this from any movie or any TV show?
Favorite
Oh.
Gothic city?
I mean, are we talking something like Gotham from Batman 89?
Right,
that
like
kind of-
That's immediately what I
Gotham.
was thinking of.
Yeah.
No. I mean, Transylvania's the obvious answer.
Dark City? From
I was
the
thinking
movie
the
Dark
same
City?
thing, yeah,
That
Dark
was-
City
that was
as
Although
well.
nice, like-
Dark City's halfway to being like a film noir kind of city, sort of thing.
Yeah. Same with Blade Runner. You've kind of got like a neon gothic vibe to that. Like it's a futuristic, but it's still got that gothic, rainy, like it's all very industrial kind of feel to it.
Right.
I guess those would be my main picks. I can't really think of much else off the top of my head.
It's a normal city, but it's slightly overweight, pale, and paints its nails. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One Arms Sukiyuki says, love you, you handsome devil, you critical drinker, and you faceless hellhound, you MauLer. Happy New Year and love the content.
Oh,
thank you.
Happy New Year.
RSC Elman says, happy second day of the year, duckies from hell. Thank you. Simon Ho says, Squid Game, if you're going to make a trans character, make her badass ex-special forces. Fuck yeah. Oh no, activists mad, deal with it, transphobe phobes. Okay.
Dude, Disco's getting strange now. Apparently, people are mad that the trans character was not played by a trans actor. And so it's getting, you know what I mean? You're like, well, I mean, but isn't that still representation? I guess not, because you never quite know how the rules work.
I don't know.
Any dude who wears a dress technically some variant of trans? Huh?
It changes from day to day. Let's just put it that way.
Monty Python, they were pioneers in the trans movement.
It's fair to say that activists are never happy. Let's just go with that.
I think that's very fair to say, yeah. Normal Man says, if you could raise Shakespeare from the dead and get him to write a play about a modern famous person, who would that play be about? Mine would be about Tommy Wiseau. Because I feel like he modeled himself after Shakespearean tragedies anyway. So.
It'd be a biography of Gilbert Gottfried. Alas, poor Yorick.
Jamaican Bacon says, do it, kill her. Happy New Year, Drinker and MauLer.
Yeah, do it, kill her. So bad.
They must have realized they were creating something special.
It's an old timer, that delivery. It might be one of the worst things that's ever happened. It's like,
kill her.
Yeah, kill her.
The Biv is asking the real questions here. How old are you, MauLer? Do you feel okay after yesterday?
I'm 31, so drinking this much continuously every day. I was saying to Mel earlier, like, I actually feel fine.
What about me? I'm 2 years older than you, and I had more shots.
It's true, you know, but we're both still alive and not that hungover, you know. So
no, actually, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Well, that's the thing. At first, you struggle, then you get used to it, and then you need it.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Addiction.
Then you're set for life.
Yay! Time to open the can.
Saint Mongol the Whalish says, Happy New Year, fellas. I think you guys massively underestimate how much kids love Despicable Me and the Minions. I mean,
we don't.
I get it.
We've never counted that. Like, it's hyper popular. Minions is a fucking phenomenon. I always say that, but like in a bad way. Like, it's like unfortunately, this is
right. It's like a Care Bear.
We're very. I mean, you know, look at Inside Out too. I said like Drinker hasn't seen it. I haven't seen it. We recognize obviously it must be popular. It's just that we don't really care about it. And same goes for Despicable Me 7006, whichever one they're on.
Yeah, something like that.
Ouch.
Let's see here. I'm going to try and go through the member chats here as well. So the next one is from 1 second. Oh, why have they not filled in? Crewkid52 says, awesome to see Niat. Is it Niat or Nia? I never know how to say it.
The second one.
Niat. Been following his concept for years, which just pushed me into watching films and shows that he has covered.
Oh, glad to hear that.
Sweet.
Nice.
So what? I feel like I'm out of the loop. What's the deal with the taking shots? Are you guys? Is there some kind of challenge, like a drinking game going on, or
literally played Simpsons Hit and Run? And every time we got busted or completed a level, we just took a shot, and it ended
Oh god!
We completed it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was at 37 shots and MauLer at 32, 33.
Oh no.
I thought you were joking earlier when you said that. Did that actually?
No,
actually went for that.
Yeah, you can check the stream. We updated it every time.
I mean, how were you even talking by the end of it?
I mean, I am German, so
We were close to
normal.
Yeah. Was it shots of schnapps or like?
Malibu is what.
Yeah. The thing is,
you
last
guys
time we
are
did,
still-
last
you
time
guys
we
are
did this,
Man's drink.
well, the thing is, last time we did this, I had beers and also took 40% shots. I think like Fireball or something.
Yeah, I
something
think it
along
was
those
a
lines.
viable knockoff or something.
We didn't finish last time. The game.
No, we couldn't
Last
make
time we
it.
did not finish the game.
We made it this time though.
And you
Was
guys
a-
are somehow still conscious. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, just you're not drunk if you can lie on the floor without holding on, so that you're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right.
Right, what else have we got here? So, yeah, Unapologetic Art says movies now have patch updates and DLC. Like that's kind of what it feels like, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
little bit.
a gradual iteration of creating a movie. Feels like it shouldn't be like that, but yeah, that's kind of what they do. Aaron Sharman gifted 5 Critical Drinker memberships, so thank you very much for your generosity, my friend. The Angry Badger also gifted 5 Critical Drinker memberships, so thank you. And Jesus Davila gifted 1. You gentlemen have been extremely generous to start this new year. Appreciate it. What else we got here? Logan Johnson says, "Happy 2025, gentlemen. I'm looking forward to seeing our president turn the country around and for great entertainment again. Cheers to you all." Thank you, man. And yeah, best for 2025.
Clearly a Canadian talking about Justin Trudeau. And I have
Yeah, he's going to do great things for Canada.
yes.
Adacrams says, "Merry late Christmas. Panel, you must choose one to live with. Sydney Sweeney, but she loves and quotes Rings of Power. Anna de Armas, but she plays League. Amanda Stenberg, as she is. Or Henry Cavill, but he watches hot tub streamers on your PC."
Why on my PC? Does it have his own?
We
build
can
his
work
own.
Builds his own, okay?
we can work with Henry's unfortunate addiction. Okay, we can get him off that. All right, we'll help him.
I could probably work with Cindy Sweeney. I can just duct tape her mouth shut or something so she don't listen to her. I got the most important aspects of her like on hand, so yeah, I think it's probably that. Yeah. Next one. Where is it? All right, let me scroll. Yeah, Davao. SES Rogue Heroes Season 2 is actually pretty good. Some of the stuff was made up, but otherwise it's a good history-inspired action series. Has anyone here seen it at all? SES Rogue Heroes.
No.
I don't think I've heard about that, no. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Exotic Player gifted $50, or sorry, £50, real money. Says, "Yo Drinker, MauLer and crew, a very happy new year to you and all thanks for yet another quality year of entertainment. I recently saw Heretic and was quite impressed by it. What are your thoughts on it? I may have missed your review." And this is for everyone.
I've not seen
great.
it, but it's good.
I don't think I've seen it, no.
Yeah.
One of my
But Happy
favorite
New Year
script
to you
of
as
the year.
well.
Yeah, likewise. And yeah, I've again, like most people here, I haven't seen it. I've heard it's pretty good. People speak highly of Hugh Grant in it. Apparently, it's a decent performance from him.
Sorry, you're gonna have to run that sentence back to me again. People speak highly of Hugh Grant. What?
Yes. Believe it or not, he seems to have actually been garnering a bit of respect over the past few years. He's gotten
trying
old.
different roles.
Yeah, so he can't play like the floppy haired, like romantic.
He's in
lead
his
anymore.
he's in his sad Robin Williams phase.
Yeah,
Somewhat.
hopefully it doesn't end the same way as Robin Williams, but
Let's hope.
Oh, I think he's doing a Matthew McConaughey, going from romantic comedies to serious films.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant in this. I recommend it.
yeah.
Nice.
925 Moto says, I walked out of Nosferatu and thought, open bar is probably going to rip this apart, lol.
Oops.
B says, Drinker, old boy, be a good gentleman and do a happy hour with MauLer on Zulu. If not, you'll upset the lads. Make happy hour great again.
Not the lads, no.
Yeah, don't upset the lads.
Can't have that.
Not the last.
I feel like I don't know, like MauLer, no disrespect. I feel like I need like History Bro or something for
I was
Zulu.
literally about to say that to you. I'd be like, you should probably pick someone who's like, better equipped to deal with something like a Zulu. Appreciate it for what it is more than I. I like Zulu, but I've seen it, I think, twice in my life. Like it's good shit. It's just not something I'm hugely passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that was pretty much all of the. So that was all the member super chats and the gifted critical drinker memberships. So I wanted to say thank you for everyone who's generous enough to do that. I appreciate you guys for doing it, and for everyone who's sent in so many super chats tonight. Obviously, we couldn't get through all of them tonight. This is a slightly shorter open bar than I would normally do. But as I sort of mentioned before, I've been up since 3 a.m. and I'm really fucking tired.
That is fair.
And my brain is slowly turning into mush here, and it's only a matter of time until my eyes start pointing in different directions, and I need to go to bed a little bit. So I will probably finish it up there. But I want to say to my awesome panel, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. It has been great to speak to all of you, and it's been great to start the new year with all of you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good times. Good times.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for everyone who's tuned in for this tonight. The open bar is back for 2025, and we will be back again next week to carry on our stupidity. But for now, at least, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.